Professor K.V. Thomas.
Sir, as the Honorable Minister himself has admitted in his introductory speech, this amendment is to dilute many of the stringent provisions of the Companies Act 2013. Sir, the Companies Act 2013 has been brought after 50 years. The Companies Act 1956 was existing, and in 2013, when this act was brought, it was to amend and correct many of the anomalies in the then existing act. And 2013 act was brought in a context when we had a large number of scams like the Sahara scam, the Sharda scam, and in order to prevent such scams in future, this 2013 act was enacted. It was discussed in the very house.
Satyam.
Yeah. And the present enactment and amendments is completely diluting the existing stringent regulations. For example, the 2013 Act permits the central government to impose a cap on layers of subsidiaries a company can have. This was a very stringent law, and the government proposes to dilute that amendment also. Now the government itself has accepted in the statement of objects and reasons, that is 2013 Act. The Act introduced significant changes related to disclosures to stakeholders, accountability of directors, auditors, and key managerial personnel, investor protection, and corporate governance. This government itself has accepted that. That is, the 2013 Act was a stringent act to prevent the malpractices existing in many of the private companies. However, the government continues to say government received number of representations from industry chambers, professional institutes, legal experts, and ministries and departments regarding the difficulties faced in compliance of certain provisions. Amendment of the Act was carried out through the Companies Amendment Act 2015 to address the immediate difficulties arising out of this. So, government has openly admitted that this amendment is to help the private companies and private manufacturers and industries. So what is the position of the country? Within the last 3.5 years, this government has been in power for the last 3.5 years, and they have made a lot of promises. So the industrial production from 75% has come down to 50 to 60%. The government admits. Many of the major industries are getting out of the country. For example, auto industry, General Motors, they are going out of the country. Now layoff in many companies like ITs is every day it is going up. Now the economy is slowing up. Only thing is there is a hike in the stock market. And the reason everybody knows that the black money is again coming back. Now the government took a very important decision of demonetization in 8th of November 2016. And what the government said and what the Prime Minister himself said, this is to check black money, this is to prevent terrorism, This is to prevent Pakistan sending fake notes to India. Now, sir, 8 months have passed. Where are we? How much money has come back? Why the government is hiding it? Many of the committees of the parliament has called the Reserve Bank governor and asked him, what is the position? He still says they are counting. So this shows where we are economically, where we stand. Sir, in the case of the 2013, in view of how this was brought, in view of the changes in the national and international economic environment and expansion and growth of economy of our country, the central government, after due deliberations, decided to repeal the Companies Act 1956 and enact a new legislation to provide for new provisions to meet the changed national and international economic environment and further accelerate the expansion and growth of our economy. This was the purpose of 2013. Now the present amendment of 17 should be an attempt to find what are the faults, to find remedial measures, and the government's intention was in that direction, we would have definitely supported the government. But if you take clause by clause of important amendments the government is bringing, the investments in the company cannot be made through more than 2 layers of investment. That was in 2013. What is the attitude of the government on this? Similarly, memorandum must define the specific objects for which the company is being incorporated and other related matters. Permits the annual return for a one-person company or a small company to be signed by the company secretary or the director. So there are a large number of acts in the Companies Act 2013, which how the government is going to handle in the 2017 amendments. So these are very serious matters. For example, CSR. How the CSR of a company has to be decided. How it should be discussed. Should it be fully under the control of the government? So these are some of the issues which has been under discussion and deliberation. Sir, my request to the government is, government has to take the problems of the poor, the farmers, the small traders. So for example, in the case of GST, the Honorable Finance Minister is here. What we hear from the different parts of the country, the officers of the Finance Ministry are threatening the people. In many parts of the country. Stories are coming out. So when I had an occasion to talk to the Honorable Prime Minister, he said government will ensure that the officers will not create problems in the country, but the picture is quite different. This is something the government has to. I am not against GST because GST is one of our products. But in the implementation, government has to be careful. Similar is the case of this Companies Act amendment. In this case also 2013, that enactment came on the context of a Sahara scam, Sharda scam, that we have to find a solution to similar scams. So now again everything has been thrown open, everything is free, and what the private companies, multinational companies are going to do in this country. So I think government has to be serious about these amendments and see that the industry has to flourish, employment has to generate, but at the same time, the corporate houses should not take undue advantage of the economic situation in this country. So that should be in the prime mind of the government. With these words, I request the government to consider properly on these amendments. Thank you.